A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis with me for 19th December 2025. Like every day, let's make it super interactive. And I apologize. I sincerely apologize for the technological delay. Because of the glitch, my laptop completely went off. I tried my best to reinitiate it. It could not be reinitiated. Sorry for having wasted your precious time in the morning. And welcome to the class once again. And thank you so much, all of you, for bearing with me. Thank you. I'm really grateful to all of you. Thank you so much. So before I show you today's newspaper articles, we will try to summarize more quickly today so that I don't consume too much of your morning period. But then before I start, let me show you the 8 articles for the day and then welcome my dear students here. So we have 8 articles today from the Hindu newspaper, New Delhi edition, starting from the new controversy about Manrega scheme, and then the article has been written by the left leader, none other than Ms. Brinda Karat. So yes, she is quite critical of the new change in Manrega. Then we look at India's nuclear energy program. We are talking about how suddenly the trade deficit in India has reduced, but that's not a permanent solution. That's a very band-aid like solution that we are having. And then we look at a very interesting order given by Allahabad High Court shows that India is liberalizing as a society. We are accepting new relations like live-in relationships. A social change in India, GS paper 1, looking at India-Oman trade pact, and from there eventually to one more conflict between China, US, including Taiwan, and in the end, a new bill introduced by India's finance minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. All these are the news agendas. Yes, that's correct, Prasad. All these are the news agendas. And before I start, a very good morning and welcome to Rang, AB, Rakesh, Ramu, Pranarthi, Terukula, Prasad. Very good morning, Rajneesh. Code name World Cricket, Eric, Satya, Prajanya, Aman, okay, Shekhar. Very, very good morning. And I'm extremely sorry for the morning glitch. Morning, I saw we had about 80 students. And unfortunately, I'm sure so many of them had to leave because there was no clarity on the class. But that's fine. We are a growing community. And wherever we learn in a meaningful way, we will grow our community with that commitment. Let's look at the news articles for the day one by one. Very good morning, Ramya. And I really miss Diptesh, Vikash, Kojumba is not here right now. Reshma hasn't joined yet. So let them come along, but we'll start with our discussion. Okay, so thank you so much, all of you. God bless each one of you for having, being so patient with me and for bearing with me today. Thank you so much. Now, quickly, let me show you the first article for the day. This is page number 8, editorial article. We have 3 articles from the editorial. This is the first one. Very good morning, Avinash and Sitara. First article says, cutting off a rural lifeline and the directive principles of state policy. Now, we all know, yes, I met you, Shekhar. Good morning, dear. Now, directive principles of state policy. We are looking at GS paper 2, polity and governance, particularly part 4 of the constitution that deals with DPSP. We all know what are DPSP. Directive principles of state policy, which are not binding on the government. They are not justiciable, but at the same time, they are like moral guidelines which should guide the government to create good, justice prone, and equitable administration in India. Yes, part 4 of the constitution. Ultimately, it deals with constitutional morality, something that Ramu often talks about. And he keeps reminding us, very kind of him, that constitutional morality given by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, a very crucial topic for GS paper 4 ethics as well. Now, the writer of this article is, yes, Ms. Brinda Karat, the leader of the CPI-M party. Yes, she is a left-wing leader, so naturally very critical of the mainstream government. But let's see what she has written in this article. And absolutely, Prasad, we are ultimately talking about Article 41. That's a very important DPSP, Directive Principle of State Policy, that deals with work as a right. In India, we say finding an employment is about right to work. Very good, Terukula. That's correct. Now, quickly, let's see what the article says. Article says that in India, suddenly the government has decided to rename the government has decided to relabel the existing Manrega Act, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. It is now being relabeled, it is being recreated. And the problem with this new name and the new method and the new philosophy behind the updated act is very clear. In India, we see Article 41 as the cornerstone of right to work. Finding employment is our right, right to work. The government should try to provide everyone a fair chance of securing livelihood. That is a part of Manrega. That's why Manrega was created. To make it the responsibility of the government to provide for people's right to work within its economic capacity. Yes, absolutely. The new bill, VBG RAMG bill, absolutely. Manrega was about Article 41. Now, during the Constituent Assembly debates in India, when the Constitution was being created, initially, the makers of the Constitution wanted to write Article 41 as a fundamental right. The makers of the Constitution wanted to make the right to work as a fundamental right, but then they could not do that. They did not do that because there was a lot of opposition and criticism coming from private companies, from corporate capitalistic groups, that no, if you make the right to work as a fundamental right, then how will we privatize the economy? How will we create a capitalistic structure to the economy later on? And that won't be possible. So, therefore, right to work was not created as a fundamental right, but then it became the non justiciable, the non binding, and yet welfare oriented directive principle of state policy. Thank you, Ramu and Shekhar. That's what it became. Good morning. Manisha is here after so long. Okay. Very good morning. Vishu. All right. So now you see what happened. Article 41, therefore, was not made a fundamental right. It was eventually made a DPSP, Rahul. Absolutely. Very good morning, Priyanshu. A DPSP. Correct. But today, what is happening? Although Dr. B.R. Ambedkar used to say that DPSP are instruments of instruction. What are they? Instruments of instruction that guide the government to create an economic democracy. As Dr. K.T. Shah said, that these are nothing but the pious wishes of the constitution makers. Yes? Now, having said that, Manrega was ultimately all about giving Article 41. If not a fundamental right, at least it can be a basic unalienable right. People have a right to work. The idea was to promote equality in employment. So, what are the original features of Manrega? Why was Manrega created? As Ramu tells us beautifully, Manrega was passed long back in 2005. What was the idea? The idea was to create a rights based, I repeat, a rights based, demand driven approach, recognizing that it's the government's responsibility to provide basic minimum wage and basic minimum labor opportunity to people. At least a minimum floor wage should be given. Then what are the salient and the important features of Manrega? Let's quickly see. Some of the salient features are: Manrega says, I provide you a legal guarantee of 100 days job per year. 100 days of wage employment per year per rural household in India. It is a universal and demand driven approach. Job will be given on demand and it will vary from one household to another. Equal wages for equal work. Equal wages for men and women. Full wage responsibility should be taken care of by the center. Center government will finance all the fund for Manrega. States will share about 10% of the financial system, of the financial burden, which is the cost of implementing the policy. And panchayats were also empowered to plan and implement all these local works. Therefore, as Rahul says, Manrega was a complete demand driven scheme. Today, the new bill that has come instead of Manrega, the VBG bill, it is not demand driven, it is supply driven. It is mostly like a welfare scheme. It is not taking into consideration Article 41. It doesn't see work as a right to work. That's the principle that's being defeated here. Talking about the original Manrega. Original Manrega was the world's first, I repeat, listen carefully. Original Manrega was the world's first demand driven employment guarantee in a capitalistic economy. That's why it was beautiful. What are the key changes today in the new bill that people are unhappy about? The biggest change is that we are shifting from a demand driven allocation to a supply driven financial allocation. It is becoming like a welfare scheme now. States will have to share 40% of the burden of the new employment bill. And that is expensive. Many states can't afford that. Yes. Second problem, if there is a kind of legal obligation, if the demand exceeds the allocated fund, the central government is not responsible for that. Central government is only going to give a fixed budget. That's it, nothing more than that. States are saying this is highly centralized in design. It is about auditing, designing, and recording a project at the central government level. The states are not doing any involvement, and therefore it is against the principle of federalism, against cooperative federalism in India. It undermines the spirit of federalism. Look at the class and social implications of this act. It says we will not provide employment during the peak agriculture season. That favors the rural elite. That doesn't favor the agriculture labor. It also weakens the bargaining power of Indian agriculture workers. They will have to accept the basic wage set by the central government. There is no more power of negotiation. It disproportionately harms women who already receive a very low wage for the agriculture work that they do. We have made it mandatory to link Aadhaar card and to give digital attendance. This will exclude so many people because of connectivity and technical issues. That's again a problem. And it has a great impact on vulnerable groups. Why? Because it is women in India who are 50% of the total agriculture workers. Today, they are the worst victims of agrarian distress, seasonal unemployment, disguised unemployment. Look at Adivasi, the tribal community, 8.6% of Indian population total. They are 18% of Manrega workers. Scheduled caste are 19% of Manrega workers. Over two-thirds of beneficiaries are coming from vulnerable groups. Vulnerable groups. Today, the new bill removes their representation from all the grievance redressal and complaint advisory council. And look at the funding process. Since 2014, Manrega funding has either been stagnant or declined. It has never exceeded. Now, this is one point I want everybody to remember here. This is shocking. If you look at your screen, you will realize, yes, since 2014, Manrega funding has been stagnant or fixed at 0.2% of GDP. Can you imagine how low that is? Good morning, Vikash Urapam. Did you see that? Absolutely, Rahul. That's correct. That's so correct. Okay, no problem. I understood. Okay, at the rate elite. If you want PDF to be more annotated, I can do that for you. Not a problem. All right, is that clear? Yes, did you see? Since 2014, the funding under Manrega has been so low. It has never increased 0.2% of GDP. Although the number of workers are constantly increasing, 7.7 crore people are enrolling in Manrega, but the funds are never adequate, the funds are never sufficient. 24 to 25, 8.9 crore number of work was demanded. 99 lakh people were denied employment under Manrega. That means we have more people who need work, but we do not have enough funding. We do not have enough jobs under Manrega itself. It's an inflationary situation. Supply is too much, demand is very little. Yes. Now, if you look at the pending wages, people who have not been given their salaries under Manrega, the total amount is rupees 8,000 crore. Average work days, people are earning less than rupees 50 per household. Therefore, the promise under the new bill of giving 125 days per year of job to poor household is misleading, because when we could not do justice under 100 days, what justice will we do under 125 days? So, overall, if we were to conclude this article written by a critical opposition leader, she says that if this initiative was only about increasing the number of work hours to 125, we could have done this within existing Manrega also. We had no need to create a completely new kind of employment guarantee scheme and replace Manrega. We didn't have to do that. This is just giving more control to the government. It is becoming, like very good Rahul, a direct benefit transfer welfare scheme where we are not looking at a demand driven scheme. We are looking at a supply driven scheme. People are now victims of government welfare. We do not see the right to work as a right in itself under Article 41, and therefore the new bill is not doing anything good. It is misleading, it erodes the policy of federalism in India. Now, quickly, we'll see a practice question here. Yes? It would have been a good initiative, correct, had we also included peri-urban and urban areas. I so agree. Yes, it looks like that, AB. That's correct. Very good morning, Shakil. Glad to know you're from Jammu. Welcome to the class. Okay, quickly the question. With reference to the proposed replacement of Manrega, consider the following statements with the new bill. 1. The proposed bill seeks to replace demand-driven nature of Manrega with employment determined by normative financial allocations fixed by the union government. What are normative? Normative means that are based on certain norms, certain values and principles of the central government. 2. Under the proposed framework, the state government's financial contribution towards rural employment schemes has reduced as compared to existing Manrega provisions. And 3. The proposed bill centralizes project design, monitoring and audits, thereby weakening the role of states and Panchayati Raj institutions. Panchayati Raj institution, 73rd Amendment Bill 1992, Schedule 11th of the Indian Constitution. Which of these are then correct? Think again. Please think again. Break it down. Analyze the statements properly. Yes, answers are coming. Terukula Priyanshu. Who else wants to answer? Sitaram. Arang. Anybody else who wants to try? Rahul has answered. Can you think again once, everyone, my dear? Yes, Pranarthi. Can we break it down now? There is a confusion. Some are saying all are right, some are saying no, not all are correct. Only A is the right option. So, what should be the right answer, Prasad? What should be the answer then? Aru? What about Ramu? What about Vikash? Kujumba is not here with us. Okay, what about Urupam? Yes, Yalia has answered. Let's clarify. What's the confusion here? Look at the third statement. Is the third statement correct? Yes, Urupam, third statement is correct. The proposed bill makes it highly centralized. Yes, it does. Yes, absolutely it does. That's why we are saying we are defeating the purpose of cooperative federalism. There is a reduced role of panchayat and state. Now everything is being done by the central government. Ramu is answering. So is Rahul and AB. Third is correct. Third is correct. B cannot be the right answer. What about the first one? The new bill seeks to replace demand-driven nature of Manrega with employment determined by financial allocations of the union government. Correct. Absolutely correct. First is also correct. If first is correct, what about the second one? Under the new framework, state government's financial contributions towards rural employment scheme is reduced. Is it reduced? Has it reduced? Yes, absolutely, Rahul. Now what is happening? It is increased in fact. Yes, very good, Bacha. Now what is happening? State's contribution has not reduced, it has increased. As Rahul explains beautifully, under Manrega, majority of money used to be sent by the central government. Now under the new bill, the sharing will be done in 60-40 ratio. That means the states will have to bear about 40% and more burden of Manrega implementation. So what does it mean? It means it's wrong. It is opposite of the true, making A the valid answer. But really well tried. Overall well explained. Very good, Urupam, Ramu, Prasad, Shakil. Yes. Very good, Priyanshu. Is it clear now? Anup, good morning, my dear. Is it clear to everyone? Eric? Yes? Very, very good. Thanks for explaining, Ramu. Thanks for explaining, Rahul. Very good. Thank you so much, Priyanshu, for explaining that. Okay, wonderful. Quickly, the next article, okay, without wasting time. Quickly, the next article. Editorial page again. A bold step amid an ambitious nuclear energy target. Now, we are talking about nuclear energy, bacha. Very good, Ramu. From 10 to 40%. Thank you for that, dear. Yes, Eric. Now, next article is nuclear energy. Why are we talking about nuclear energy? We know that India doesn't use nuclear energy for any kind of weapon purpose. Since a very long time, 1997 onwards, after the Pokhran 2, 1998 onwards, India has always maintained voluntary moratorium. Moratorium is a ban. India has voluntarily said, I am not going to explore or test any nuclear weapon. Yes, But when you talk about the clean energy, renewable energy, this article says depending only on hydropower, depending only on solar power and wind energy is not sufficient for India. India is a massive population, and India is a country that's growing economy, the third largest of almost. We are energy hungry. But unfortunately, till date, India depends too much on the grid energy. That's the coal dependent energy. Why? Because although we have a lot of solar power now, we do have a lot of wind and hydropower, but these are not enough. These are not able to match the demand. There is always a deficit of power that we have, plus alongside. All these new sources of power are very intermittent in nature. You cannot utilize solar energy on a cloudy, rainy day because of unpredictable nature of monsoon, because of the fact that majority solar energy works in the afternoon. Wind energy is very, very unreliable, intermittent. We are not getting our needs met. We need something new if we really have to achieve the target of zero carbon or carbon neutral by 2070. If we really want to fulfill our dreams of 45% reduction of GDP of carbon oxide by 2030, we have to do something revolutionary. And that something revolutionary can be nuclear energy. But India's nuclear energy has not grown at the desired pace. So today, very good as Priyanshu, Rahul, and everyone is saying, we are looking at a new bill, and that bill is called as the Shanti Bill. What bill? Shanti Bill. Now, Shanti Bill has the idea, very good, Rahul, of creating 100% private investment, FDI, in the nuclear energy sector. The reason is that today we want more private companies to participate in nuclear energy so that our productivity goes up. Plus, we are also reducing nuclear liability. For any damage, any accident, we are not going to blame any nuclear equipment supplier. The responsibility will only be taken by the operator of nuclear power plant, and that too in proportion with the size of the facility that they maintain. The idea is to make it more encouraging for people to come and participate in the nuclear sector. We need nuclear energy. That's what this article says. So which topic can we map this to in GS papers of UPSC? This is GS paper 3, renewable energy, nuclear energy. So let's see what is going on. Now the article says in reality, if you look at the whole world, if you look at the history of human society, the basic common sense says as people's income, health, education, and digital access improve, their energy demand also increases. That means if you are having an increase of your income, if you are having an increase of your education, if you have more access to digital technology, it is directly proportional to increased energy demand. Naturally, you need more electricity, you need more power for that. And India is also aiming today of reaching a level of human development index which is equal to that of rich developed countries of the world. If you want to develop human development index, then we must understand that solar and wind energy are not sufficient. Why? Because they are intermittent. Sun and wind are not always available. Majority of solar energy is available during afternoon, but the peak energy demand only rises after 5 p.m. Then commercial solar energy is still very expensive. It is an area that is still developing, not completely developed. Although we all know, Diptesh and Vikash have told us, I think about 1 million times so far, that in June 2025, India achieved a great achievement. We started getting 50% of our total energy from non-fossil fuel sources. We started getting 50% of our installed energy capacity power from non-fossil fuel sources. That is a great achievement. But despite that, India not only continues to import good quality coal, but India is majorly dependent on coal because sun and wind are not enough. Yes, Priyanshu, Rahul, they are not enough. They are not enough also because there are land and natural limits on expanding solar and hydro and wind energy. You need land for that. You need space for that. You need infrastructure for that. Worst is you need rare earth material for that. The whole world is blindly running behind rare earth material dominated by China, found in countries like DRC. Democratic Republic of Congo, I told you multiple number of times. The main fight in Democratic Republic of Congo, the Tutsi and the Hutu, it is ultimately a gold war. It is ultimately a fight for rare earth material. Other countries like Chile, Australia also have reserves, but they do not have mining and refining capacity. That only belongs to China. India also needs too much rare earth material if it wants to expand solar energy, photovoltaic solar cell, and wind turbine magnet. It is not an easy thing to do. So, therefore, we today really need to shift towards a more reliable, a more affordable, a more low carbon alternative, and that means nuclear power for electricity purpose. And how can we do that? To do that, the government has today passed the Shanti Bill. The Shanti Bill 2025, as my dear students are saying, is ultimately meant to support this, to create nuclear expansion so that India can grow without increasing its carbon emission, to privatize the nuclear energy sector, as Eric told us 2 3 days before. It's like a new liberalization and privatization for the nuclear energy sector. Yes, very, very good, Eric. Thank you for that. Yes? Okay, correct, Rahul. Now, what does the article say main? What's the main point of this article? The article says human development has always been associated with whom? With more energy demand. There was a very famous thinker in 1971 named as Earl Cook. I repeat, Earl Cook. He said that as societies progress from primitive to modern, from primitive to digital, per capita energy needs a continuous rise. The present digital economy will further need more and more energy demand. If you look at India's Human Development Index, it is an indicator of income, it's an indicator of health, it's an indicator of education. Many times in your UPSC exam, in GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, you will hear of the word social infrastructure. Many times you people will hear of the word social infrastructure or social capital. You will always hear of the word social infrastructure, social capital. What do you mean by that? Social infrastructure always means income, health, education, housing, sanitation. Whether people have this or they don't have this. That's the whole reason why from 2021 onwards, India's Niti Aayog measures poverty on the basis of multi-dimensional poverty index, which takes into account the 12 indicators of social infrastructure. Yes. So now today what's happening? Yes, Terukula and Prasad, we want more energy because we are a growing society. We need more per capita energy. That's on the rise. And in India, if you look at Human Development Index, it is very poor as compared to developed countries. There is a clear-cut correlation, direct relationship between Human Development Index and per capita final energy consumption called FEC. Final energy consumption, net energy consumption. How much energy are people, companies, organizations at the micro unit receiving? How much energy do you and I spend? Electricity, power. How much of it do we need for our daily lives? That's called final energy consumption. If you need a better human development index, you need a better final energy consumption. To reach the level of developed countries, very good. To reach the level of developed countries, we need to improve. If we need to reach the level of G20 countries, even if you want to achieve a HDI of 0.9, comparable to the G20 countries, India needs to then create about 24,000 units of energy per annum. That's the amount of energy we need. About 60% we need to create electricity, and the remaining 40% we need to create green hydrogen, green ammonia, decarbonizing the sectors of railway, steel, fertilizer, and plastic. All that will be needed. Beautiful. Yes, Rakesh. Very good, Prathinkar. Correct, Rahul. We need that. So we need nuclear energy today. Look at the current energy scenario in India. What's the current energy scenario in India? What is it? India generated about 1950 units of energy in 2023 and 2024. Electricity generation has grown by 4.8%. But at this rate, to achieve our dreams, we can only reach our goal till after until we can't reach our goal before next 50 years. We will take much longer time. We are still very far away from our goal. There are two major challenges here. One, how to decarbonize the complete energy sector, how to provide increased electrification in transport, how to electrify our fossil fuel usage. All these are major issues. Low carbon, low carbon sources are only hydro, solar, wind, and ultimately nuclear. There are limits to hydro and wind potential, I told you. High population density is restricted to certain areas. Certain areas in India are very populated. We cannot use them to create more solar and more wind energy parks. We can't do that. Now, if you remember, there was a case study I spoke to you about from Tamil Nadu, Dhanushkodi. Dhanushkodi, the village in Tamil Nadu, has now seen some displacement, and people are worried about the local economy and local ecology because a new experimental wind turbine is being set up. People are worried that if it becomes commercial, if it becomes more enlarged, what will happen to the local tribal people? What will happen to the local ecosystem? It's not easy to divert land into solar, wind, and hydroelectricity. It's not easy. It always leads to displacement and arguments. That's the problem. Now, large scale storage is also needed. Seasonal variation is also very high. All this can be solved if we adopt nuclear power, because nuclear power is stable. It is continuous, non intermittent, and it is also providing you a non intermittent base load electricity that is affordable, that's clean, and that's very, very essential today. Very good, Priyanshu. The fission reaction, correct. So now, what capacities do India have? Indigenous, our own local capacities. One, we have the National Nuclear Power Corporation of India that operates many pressurized heavy reactors in India up to about 700 megawatt capacity. India can today manage fuel fabrication, heavy pressurized water reactors, small modular reactors. India can also do reactor equipment manufacturing. And therefore, we have achieved the new Shanti Bill today. What's the target of the Shanti Bill? To privatize, to achieve 100 gigawatts nuclear capacity by the end of this century. 100 gigawatts of nuclear energy. Shanti Bill is merging two existing provisions. One, as my students already told, Atomic Energy Act 1962. Second, Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010. Very careful. Shanti Bill replaces two. Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010 and Atomic Energy Act 1962. The Atomic Energy Regulation Board will now be set up under the new act. It will be responsible for safety and security. Plus, the main responsibility for safety security will be managed by the company who is taking the license to manufacture these reactors. They will be responsible for it. The government or the nuclear material supplier will not be responsible for it. This reduces the civil liability for nuclear damage, and even the private company which is manufacturing these reactors, which is maintaining nuclear power plant, will only be punished for accidents regarding or concerning the size of their facility. Not more than that. The law of proportionality will prevail here. In conclusion, what can we say? In conclusion, we can say India has complete capacity to manufacture nuclear energy as a fuel system for India, a reliable, affordable, permanent system. But if you want to achieve it in near future, and if you want better human development index, you will have to work on decarbonization. Shanti Bill is a bold step that proposes to do exactly that, to make India a privatized, developed nation. But till today, India is dependent on uranium imports. Now, this is not mentioned in the article, but I want my students to be very clear about that. It's very suspicious, AB, because nobody is ready to take the liability today. Plus, we are still not clear about the nuclear waste management. It's a very interesting topic, nuclear waste management. Typically what they used to do, typically they used to capture the nuclear waste in a glass, and the glass used to be thrown in the ocean. It used to be afloat in the ocean, and it was packed in such a way that the nuclear waste could never come out of that glass. It's a very common way of disposing nuclear waste, but today, with more privatization and enhancement in nuclear energy, we need better nuclear waste disposal protocols. Usually, if there is an accident, people abandon that site. But for years, that site creates radioactive leakage. For example, recently there was a country in which there was a suspect radioactive leakage, and people immediately were asked to take a tablet. What tablet was that? Can anybody tell me? Can quickly you tell me for GS paper 3? Jaldi say, quickly. If people experience a kind of radioactive leakage exposure, there is a particular chemical, a tablet that you are supposed to take. If you take that tablet, then your body will not get damaged. You can prevent the damage that happens because of radiation, radioactive radiation. Otherwise, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Can you tell me which chemical is that? Quickly. Anyone? Have you heard about it? Okay, AB. Anybody else? Is there a chemical that we can take? That was taken by people long back during Chernobyl disaster in Russia. Yes, because of that, Belarus had experienced a severe amount of nuclear fallout. Similarly, in Japan's Fukushima reactor, something similar happened. Then, people are also told to take these in Zaporizhia. We know Zaporizhia, the border between Russia and Ukraine. Russia wants to capture Zaporizhia, the nuclear power facility in Ukraine. Never heard of that? Very important. What kind of iodine? Is it potassium iodide? Or what kind of a tablet is that? Can you confirm? Very good morning, Arya and AB. Yes? During Fukushima disaster in Japan, people were supposed to take that tablet. Recently in Zaporizhia also, people were supposed to take that tablet. Is it confirmed? Is it potassium iodide? Terukula? Is it confirmed, Priyanshu? Do people take that tablet to protect themselves against a kind of radioactive exposure? That's wonderful to know, Arya. Okay, confirm me in 5 minutes. And so that it's a new learning for so many people. Potassium iodide tablets, very good Terukula, very good Satya, absolutely very, very good Priyanshu. So whenever there is a nuclear disaster, a radiation leakage, people typically take potassium iodide. If they do not take them, the radioactive exposure can lead to a failure of your thyroid gland functioning. It can create thyroid gland cancers. To prevent that from happening, we distribute potassium iodide tablets. Very, very, very good. Excellent. Brilliant. I want everyone to remember that for future. Now, coming back to this slide here. This is not in the article. I just want to share this with you. India still imports a lot of uranium. That's a major drawback. That's a major obstacle in our transitioning towards nuclear energy. I quickly want everybody in the class to see which countries does India take so much uranium from. The top country from which India imports most of the uranium is Kazakhstan. It's the largest uranium importer to India. What? Largest uranium exporter to India, sorry. Kazakhstan. On the map here, you can see Kazakhstan. I want you to see the map and quickly try to absorb the map for a minute. Look at Kazakhstan exactly under Russia. On the left side, you have seen Ukraine many times, but probably this we have not seen. Quickly look at the Caspian Sea. Quickly, everybody, Kazakhstan. Look at the Russia on the top. Look at the Southeast China. Look which other countries are neighboring Kazakhstan. We can see Uzbekistan, longest, biggest neighbor. We can see Kyrgyzstan. Can you see Tajikistan? The top south, bottommost Afghanistan, North Afghanistan. So this is your Kazakhstan. Yes, very famous for its Kazakh uplands. Lake Balkash, all that is Kazakhstan. Clear? Everybody, are you noticing the location of the Aral Sea here? Right here, I'm encircling. So this for you is Kazakhstan. Will you remember Kazakhstan forever? Thank you for that, Prasad. That's kind of you, dear. Please remember Central Asian Kazakhstan, just below Russia. Top supplier of uranium to India. Apart from that, we have Canada, Australia, Russia, Uzbekistan that you can see on the map, Namibia. Then all these are imported in India for civil nuclear power. strictly under IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency protocol and safeguards. And India started allowing uranium imports only after the 2008 India-US civil nuclear agreement. Since then onwards, India has started allowing commercial import of uranium, topmost country being Kazakhstan. I hope everybody has understood the math thoroughly. Okay, so quickly the question for you now. With reference to relationship between human development energy consumption, relationship between human development index and energy consumption, and nuclear power in India, look at these statements quickly. One, there is a strong relationship between human development index and per capita final energy consumption, net energy consumption. And the higher levels of human development typically require high energy use. Second, India can achieve a human development index level above zero point 0.9 only solely. A very good word has been used here, solely. It's also very common in CSAT comprehensions. It means only, just, exclusively. So India can only achieve a higher HDI by fully exploiting its solar and wind energy potential without the need for nuclear power. And three, nuclear power is essential for India's decarbonized energy mix because it provides reliable base load electricity and helps address the intermittency, the non-permanence of renewable energy sources. Which of these are valid? Very good. The answers are coming from Saraswati, Priyanshu, Terukula, Rahul, Shakil. And what about my dearest Ramu? What about Vikash? Why am I not seeing answers? What about Prasad? What about Urupam? What about Bulbul? Ramu answered beautifully, so has Prasad. And everyone is saying the answer is A, and they are always right. That's my nerd students all about. It's absolutely correct. Very good, Arya. A is the right answer, Rajneeshwar. A is totally correct. 3 is totally correct. Second statement is wrong. Because India cannot achieve a complete high level of human development index if we depend on solar and wind and hydro. These are not permanent. These are very intermittent. These are unpredictable. They need more space, which is difficult for a populated and high density population of India. So therefore, if we want a sustainable supply, we have to go for nuclear. That's why we are creating the Shanti Bill, so that we do privatization, reduce the punishment for nuclear accidents, attract more private sector. Now, there is one thing very clear. In the Shanti Bill also, somebody said here, AB said, I think, Bano said, that, ma'am, it is very unclear about who will take the responsibility of nuclear accident. But if you remember, I told you very clearly, as a UPSC aspirant, you need to understand one thing. 1991, India adopted liberalization, privatization, globalization, right? It looks very beautiful on paper that you allow 100% foreign investment in various sectors. Companies like Coca-Cola, companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft come and make offices and factories in your country. It will give employment. All that is the beautiful side of it. If you look at the underbelly, if you look at the dirty underbelly of this privatization, you realize that in reality it is structural adjustment program. Whenever the government invites foreign investment, the government always relaxes labor welfare and environmental welfare. It is a condition. Whenever you take loan from IMF and World Bank, do you think it's a loan for free? Why will a company, why will an organization give you a cheap loan without a difficult condition in return? In life, there is nothing that comes for free. There is no free lunch. When India took support from IMF and World Bank in 1991, that is why India adopted SAP or LPG as a condition to get that loan. India said, I will reduce labor welfare. I will allow social dumping, exploitation of labor. I will reduce my welfare expenditure on education, sanitation, and healthcare. I will reduce environmental protocols. Only then private sector comes on in your country. Otherwise, if you maintain strict protocols, no private sector will come. Why do you think Bhutan is still so forested and there is a less level of privatization, industrialization there? Because they never compromise with 70% forest cover. But then if you want to privatize, you always do some compromise. That's why LPG in reality is SAP. It is a complete structural investment where welfare goes to the backseat and commercial interest takes the priority. And that is what this Shanti Bill also reminds me. In the garb of attracting more FDI in nuclear sector, In the garb of privatizing nuclear sector, we are definitely doing some kind of trade-off with environmental safety and with the whole concept of nuclear waste and nuclear accident. By not making people criminally liable for that, probably you are allowing in a secret way nuclear accidents to take place. So that is always the ugly side of crony capitalism. Yes, Ramu, crony capitalism, you spoke about that. There is no free lunch in foreign policy and geopolitics. Brilliant. Absolutely. We have no data security yet. What happens? Environmental protocol, we don't know. Something similar like that controversy of Supreme Court regarding EIA, Environment Impact Assessment. They say you allow post facto EIA. What logic does post facto EIA have? Once a building is created, what is the use if you do some kind of environmental impact assessment? You see, these are certain live controversies in India. Crony capitalism, yes. Jadu Gudda, absolutely you can use AB. Why can't you use? You can use that also. You can use the Madhya Pradesh Bhopal gas strategy 1984 also. Till date, people are saying there is a contamination of soil and nearby water. Who is responsible? Nobody. You can talk of Chernobyl. You can talk of Zaporizhia. IAEA repeatedly says it is causing radioactive leakage. Who is listening? Nobody is listening. There's a very interesting story from the Times long back from the Chernobyl disaster. Someday, when we have time, I'll discuss it with you. Russia did everything it can to make sure that all the radioactive waste that is now floating in the air after Chernobyl does not cause a radioactive rainfall in Russia. So, you know what they did? People sat in the jet planes and they started doing some kind of a cloud seeding. They started driving away the clouds from Moscow. From all Moscow area, the clouds were pushed into Belarus. Belarus today, that's a key ally of Russia. Remember, exercise Zapat has faced the maximum tragedy when it comes to Chernobyl disaster. It was a deliberately done thing. Moscow was a political capital. They did not want Moscow to suffer. So they drove away all the clouds by using jet planes, by using artificial pushing, and they just pushed it towards Belarus, and then Belarus experienced a severe radioactive fallout. So you see, all these are dirty secrets of history. Why? Because we know whenever you talk about nuclear power, it obviously has a liability there. It's nothing is safe there. Okay. Yes, beautifully. That's correct. Profit maximization. Correct. Now, quickly, third article. We need to close early today. I was late, right? Third article, quickly, editorial page. Temporary relief. What are we looking at? Now, this is an article that's coming from economy segment. This is GS paper 3, Indian economy. Specifically, we are looking at trade deficit. Trade deficit. Okay, what does the article say? Quickly focus. I will summarize quickly. Now, this article is saying that recently, if you remember, during October 2025, I told you, for the first time in history, India has experienced a major trade deficit. What is trade deficit? When your imports become too many and your exports start declining. Why do you think that happened? Naturally, it happened because America had imposed 50% tariff on us. Because of that, India, which had a $48 billion export trade with America, started suffering. Yes, when we lost American market, naturally our exports declined, but our imports kept on increasing. That created a trade imbalance. Balance of payment was then deficit. And then we said in October we experienced the highest trade deficit. Now what happened? Suddenly in December, we are seeing an improvement in that. Suddenly, there is an improvement in trade deficit. The trade deficit has become less. But is that a good news? Yes, it is a good news, but it is a temporary good news. In the longer run, we may have a worse situation to face in the future. Why? Let me explain. Today, it looks like suddenly India's exports are again on the rise. We are doing a good amount of export today. That is what it looks like. Everyone is happy. In November 2025, suddenly India's exports started increasing too much, especially to the same country which did tariff attack on us, America. Why do you think that happened? What is the logic behind it? The logic is that right now it looks like a good news. But why did it happen? It happened because the rupee has depreciated. We all saw day before yesterday that for the first time, Indian rupee has become about 90 point something per dollar. That means Indian rupee has steadily fallen in its value. It has depreciated as compared to $1. What happens then? For the American market, Indian products become cheap. Yes, because Indian rupees are degrading, they are depreciating. Dollar value is increasing. So all the Indian exports that go to America's market have a higher demand now because they are more affordable, they are more cheap. Naturally, do you see the paradox here? Did everybody understand? Yes? Arya, Prasad, Ramu, Vikash, is it clear to everyone? Otherwise, I'll repeat. See, President Trump put tariff on us. If we put tariff on a product, what happens? The product will become expensive in American market, demand will decline, export will decline. But suddenly we are saying in November our exports have increased. Why this opposite phenomena happened? Because the value of rupee has fallen down. If your currency is cheaper now, naturally your products, despite the tariff of America, will be cheap in American market. People will buy that. That's why our exports have increased. Indian exporters also are quiet. Indian exporters have not said anything. Why? Because they have sacrificed. They are saying, okay, let us take a hit. Let us take less profit, but at least we are able to sell our product successfully. At least nothing is getting wasted. We are maintaining export relations. So now what happens? Suddenly rupee falls, exports increase. At the same time, imports have fallen down. Imports have fallen down because domestic demand in India has become cheaper, has become much lesser. So trade deficit has reduced. Real problem behind this is the fact that US has imposed a 50% tariff on us. Indian exporters are absorbing the loss themselves rather than raising the prices of their goods because they don't want to lose their consumer and market in America. Most of these exporters come from small and medium level business enterprise. They cannot bear loss for a long time. Their business will close down. That is why they decided even if the price of our commodity is cheap, we will still continue to sell to America. At least we are still doing business with them. But why are imports in India falling? Is that not a matter of worry? Imports are not falling because we have suddenly become Atmanirbhar. Not like that. Imports are falling because domestic demand has also become less. It is weakening now. It is a dangerous sign of longer term economic slowdown. It is not a sign of strength. What has the government done? Government has announced export promotion mission, but annual relief packages are delayed right now. The exporters have not got any much relief. Experts today are saying that there are so many credit support schemes which we really need to give to the exporters to help them face the tariff barrier in America. But there is an uncertainty right now. If America is ready to reduce tariffs on us, our situation becomes better. Our exporters will again start earning more. But if America continues to maintain this high level of 50% tariff, Indian exporters will always have a loss. Although their products are highly demanded, our exports are rising, but that's a very fake and misguiding number. Only exports are increasing. The real income of the exporters is declining because rupee itself has lost its value. Now, recently the decision taken by President Trump has made the situation more unpredictable. India has experienced a great increase in export. Trade deficit has also fallen down. But all these are lower and short term good newses. All these are lower and short term bandit solutions. High tariff, falling import demand, reducing domestic demand are all showing that in future we may need to deal with a massive economic problem. Now, a very good question can be, why did the price of rupee fall down? Why did the value of rupee fall so much? It's very logical. If America has imposed 50% tariff on Indian goods, what happened? The number of foreign dollars that are coming in India have reduced. Whenever the inflow of dollar in India will reduce, naturally the rupee value will also depreciate. A strong dollar automatically means other currencies will now start becoming weak, including the rupee. Foreign investors will then withdraw the money out of Indian market because they want to invest in stronger markets like America. They don't want to invest in a depreciating currency. And as dollars keep going out, the rupee value keeps on depreciating. Hardly any dollar is coming in. Demand for dollar rises, demand for rupee decreases. A weak rupee means Indian goods are cheap outside. Outsiders are taking the benefit of cheap goods. Our exporters' income is less. Our value of rupee is also reducing. Now, exporters are getting more rupees per dollar. That may help them in managing the partial tariff loss. But in the longer term, what happens? In the longer term, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous because our currency value will go on depreciating. That means neither can we import, neither can we afford imported products. Imports will keep falling down. Plus, exports will keep increasing because our products are cheap, so people will buy them. Who is benefiting in the process? Exporter is getting a big profit margin, no? Same products have become cheap now, less profit for them. But on the data level, we are very happy. We are saying imports have reduced, exports have increased. Positive balance of payment. Sorry, positive balance of trade. But is that something to be happy about? No. It's a misleading happiness. Your imports have decreased because your rupee value has fallen, you can't afford anything. Your exports have increased because your currency is cheap, so people find your products cheap and they buy them more easily. So this reduction in trade deficit is nothing to be happy about. In fact, it could be a major tragedy in upcoming times until President Trump really tries to do something about the tariff, which India is now sitting and negotiating with him. Okay, so that's exactly what this article has said. Let's quickly see a small question here. With reference to recent merchandise, that is goods, trade trends and the role of exchange rate movement, consider these statements. One, the depreciation of rupee has helped partially cancel the impact of high tariff on Indian exports by moving their price competitiveness. Two, a contraction. Reduction in goods imports has contributed to a reduction in trade deficit, though it may also mean a weakening domestic demand. Three, timely government intervention through export credit support and faster notification of export promotion schemes can help solve stress faced by Indian exporters, especially in the medium small industry sector. Which of these are valid? Absolutely, Ramu. A big round of applause to you. You've summed it beautifully. It's a quantitative increase, not a qualitative increase. Yes, that's what we were speaking about. Is that clear to everyone? Demand for dollars, Prasad, that's correct. Export subsidies needs to be increased, Rahul. Very good. That's beautiful, AB. New era education you're talking about, that's wonderful. No, no. Our net exports, whether they increase or not, in future they will decrease because your currency is cheap. How can you afford imported products? Foreigners will import your products, you can't. You can't import their products because your currency is cheap. On paper, you are celebrating, I'm not importing, I'm only exporting, I'm not buying, I'm only selling. But then, is it not economic recession if you're not buying anything? And are you getting a profitable trade? No, because your currency itself has become cheap now. That's the logic behind it. Okay. Answers are coming from Saraswati, Rahul, Priyanshu, Pranarthi, Arya, Satya, Rajnishwar, Sitaram, Ramu. They say all are correct. And what about Vikash? No answer. Yes, I'm waiting, dear. And what about, say, Anup? Any answer from Urupam? Yes. Bulbul? What about other students? Absolutely, D is the right answer. Everything is correct here. Everything is correct here. I hope you understood the core of the issue. Now, the last lengthy article is a science page article today. Okay, is that the case, Eric? Is that what we are doing? No, but we should really try to think an answer. Right answer doesn't matter. Understanding the issue does. Very good, Suraj. Very good, Prasad. Are you having some confusion, Prasad? Whatever that confusion is, do let me know in the comment box. If not today, at least we can take it up separately and then decide and discuss about it. That's correct, AB. That's correct, Arang. Please let me know, my dear Prasad. Whatever confusion you have, bacha, let me know. Next article, quickly. Rahul says it's GS paper 3. It is GS paper 3 because we are looking at science technology. We are looking at microprocessor chips. If you remember 7-8 months before, I told you that America, President Trump are now becoming obsessed with the MAGA plan. What is MAGA plan? Make America great again. Make America great again? Okay, Prasad. After this article, I'll go back to that. Done. Make America great again. America first policy. No immigration and no export of AI chip fabrication technology to countries like India. That's what he said. The whole topic is about why do countries today really need to manufacture their own microprocessors and AI chip fabrication technique? Because you can't depend on a foreign entity or a foreign country for that. If a foreign country like America reduces to share with you AI chip and fabrication techniques, what will you do? So that's why this article says India has today decided on a major thing. India has launched its own. Yes, Rahul, finally your dear has come back. Yes, if it depreciates, inflation will also go up. Correct. Correct. It could also lead to hyperinflation tomorrow. It can happen, definitely. But it will also impact production because ultimately, when there is too much stockpiling and the demand declines, ultimately supply also staggers. So it can lead to inflation, it can lead to hyperinflation also. In the longer term, it could lead to recession also in the economy. That's correct. Okay. Quickly, let's come back here. What is happening? India has launched its own indigenous, Indian made microprocessor called Dhruv 64. Dhruv 64. Why? To reduce dependence on foreign AI chips. But it is still in the early stage. It is an incomplete development. We need to focus on completing that. Before we talk about this article, yes, it's a RAM card. Very good, Priyanshu. Before we look in this article, what do you mean by a microprocessor? What is a microprocessor? GS Paper 3, Science and Tech. Micro is very, very small. A microprocessor is like the brain of the computer or the electronic device. A microprocessor does functions like thinking, processing, deciding, and controlling what a machine will do. Without a microprocessor, a computer cannot work as a smart computer. A machine can never process any input. Just like your brain tells your body, your hands and legs what to do through neurotransmitters, a microprocessor tells a device how to work. Therefore, a microprocessor is a programmable electronic chip that acts like a central processing unit of a system by telling a system to execute instructions and by controlling operations. Very good. Correct, Rahul. Now, it takes instructions, yes, software commands. It processes data, calculations, decisions, programs. It sends signals to other parts of the system like screen, monitor, sensor. And today India has launched its own Dhruv 64. Yes, the government has launched it. It's a made in India 64-bit microprocessor. As Rahul said, its speed is determined in bits. So yes, Dhruv speed is 64 bits. Very good. It's a fourth generation computer. Brilliant. Yes, Priyanshu. Now, coming back to the aim, why have we launched it? To become Atmanirbhar, self-sufficient in critical chip technology for security and supply chain purposes. Why does it matter so much to us? It matters because chip controls everything. Telecom industry, to aviation industry, to electronic industry, automobile car industry, defense sector. If you depend on foreign processors, India will become vulnerable to sanctions and supply shocks, just like what was given by President Trump. What are the capacities of this new microprocessor of India through 64 bits? It is powerful enough to run modern operating systems. It's a supercomputer, fourth generation. It is suitable for telecom equipment, industrial controllers, and routers. Then it is built upon RISC. I repeat, it is built upon a technology called RISC. What does it mean? There is no need to pay any fee, royalty, license. It is free absolutely. No foreign company controls it. It is highly customizable. You can customize that. Designers can keep on adding or removing features at their own discretion, and they can use it on a customized basis for their defense equipment, mobile, car, factories, whatever. If it is so wonderful, if it is so flexible, and if it is so much free, then what are the problems really? The problems are that performance details, fabrication location, reliability, security features are still not clear properly. Today, competing global chips already exist in the world which have stronger ecosystems. Fully indigenous, fully India made claim is also not clear. Whether all components are India made or some are foreign adopted or foreign created. Yes. Then adoption by industry is also very unclear right now without a strong software and hardware support system. Now, the meaty industry, the Information Technology Ministry of India has not given us complete engineering details. I repeat, so listen carefully. Very good, Satya. It is an open source system. Anybody can use and customize it without having the need to pay any fee. It's not dependent on any one person. Yes, absolutely. Now, coming back to what is the problem, the METI ministry, Information Technology Ministry, Electronics Ministry has not given us complete details regarding fabrication location, where it is being fabricated, performance benchmark, whether it's globally competitive, the software ecosystem that it will support, and long-term roadmap is not clear. So now what? India is therefore trying to build a complete processor ecosystem. For example, from IITs, in Indian Institute of Technology, we have Shakti system, Ajit system, Vikram system, Tejas system, Dhanush system. The government is doing everything to provide chip startups in India, fabrication technology, design incentive, innovation. We ultimately have to become Atmanirbhar in usable, trustable, reliable, and high power, high efficient chips. This is not just a symbolic achievement. It shows that India is indeed planning to achieve semiconductor self reliance, Atmanirbharta in semiconductor, but the real success will depend on ecosystem development, transparency, better clarification by the meaty ministry. That's what we are looking at. So just remember about Dhruv. A quick question to you with reference to Dhruv 64. Microprocessor. Yes, correct. We need made, not make in India, Eric. Beautiful. With reference to Dhruv 64 microprocessor and India's own indigenous processor ecosystem, look at these statements. One, Dhruv 64 is a 64-bit dual core general purpose microprocessor developed by CDAC under Ministry of Electronics and Technology meeting. 2. Dhruv 64 is based on open source RISC-V architecture. It's a part of Digital India program aimed at reducing dependence on foreign processors. And 3. The government has disclosed complete details regarding Dhruv 64 fabrication location, performance benchmarks, software ecosystem, long-term production roadmap. Which of these are valid? Saraswati Priyanshu Terukula answered. I'm waiting for more answers here. What about my other dear students? Today aspirant is also not with us. AB? Yes. Sitaram has answered. Arang has answered. Okay. What about Ramu? Yes. Priyanshu? Terukula answers. Rajnishwar answers. They are all saying that the answer should be. They are saying the answer should be. Yes. Rahul has answered. Alok has. Ramu has. Alok has. Very good. The answer is C. Absolutely C. Correct, Prasad. It is C. Why is it C? Let's understand. Because third statement is not correct. It's the opposite. I just told you that the meaty Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has not given us complete clarity right now about the performance benchmark, about where exactly is the fabrication happening, fabrication location. We don't trust it is 100% Indian made. We don't have a long-term software ecosystem yet. There is a lack of clarity. The other two statements are correct. And because Prasad was slightly not sure about the third statement in the last question, I would want to clarify. Bacha, here D was the right answer, because if the government timely starts providing some export credit to our Indian exporters who are facing loss in foreign markets because value of rupee has fallen down. They don't get enough profit now because vis-a-vis the foreign currency is much more potent, right? So people find Indian products cheap. They are selling to foreign markets, but profit is not coming. If the government provides the support to Indian exporters, especially in the medium small scale industry, because majority of the export in India happens from labor intensive sectors. I told you, gems and jewelry, textile, leather, electronic, carpet, all these are labor intensive sectors. They are also typically coming under MSME. So if the government provides them more export promotion, it will help them, especially at a time where although we are exporting too much, but there is no benefit that we are getting because rupee value has fallen down. So on paper, it looks very nice. Export is more, import is less, but it's out of compulsion. Import is also less because Indian currency is cheaper. How can you afford expensive foreign products? Export is more because your products are now cheap in Indian rupee. So foreign customers will naturally buy that. But does that mean you are growing economically? No. A staggering domestic demand is always dangerous. India has always dependent on domestic demand. That is why we managed the tariffs so beautifully. It will become a problem later on. Really? Thank you so much. I'm so happy you said that, Saraswati. God bless you and may you qualify for this exam and make everyone proud. Now we are done with the lengthy articles. Allow me just 5 minutes to quickly summarize the remaining ones. Next one is coming from GS paper 1, Indian Society. We are looking at a very revolutionary verdict given by Allahabad High Court. And what's that verdict? The verdict says that Allahabad High Court has said that there is a couple who was staying in a live-in relationship. Allahabad High Court says, although society in India does not accept live-in relationships with dignity, but it's not a crime. It's not a crime at all to be in a live-in relationship. It's about Article 21, right to life and liberty. I repeat, Article 21, the right to life and liberty. So you cannot punish somebody for being in a live-in relationship. Now, this is exactly similar to another law passed by the Supreme Court long back. In 2005, when the government of India had created the Domestic Violence Act 2005, the court had said the Domestic Violence Act 2005 is not only going to protect the married legal wife, it will protect even a live-in woman partner. You cannot do violence against a woman who is your live-in partner, just like you cannot do it against your legally married spouse. That's very important because the Domestic Violence Act does not clearly mention the word wife here. Second, long back the Supreme Court had also said that cheating in a marriage, infidelity in a marriage is a wrong thing to do. It's a wrong thing to do. Yes? Therefore, you can issue a tort against that. I explained you in detail the concept of tort. GS paper 2, polity and governance. I think some of you might have forgotten. Tort. Tort. When somebody has done a civil wrongdoing to somebody, a third person comes and destroys a marriage. Can you punish that third person? No. It's not a legal crime that the third person has done. Yes, the third person has ruined a marriage. It has led to alienation of affection, A of A. But you can issue a tort against that. You can ask a compensation for that. You can blame the person for that. But you cannot put them in the jail. It is not. It is not a crime that the person has done. This is called a tort, a compensation that you ask, but you cannot issue any IPC section on that person. So Supreme Court has today also said the same thing, that under Section 119(1) of Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam, Indian Evidence Act, couples, if they are living together for a long period of time, suppose 10 years, 12 years, they will automatically presumed to have a marital status between them. Okay, so therefore, no punishment for a live-in relationship. That's revolutionary, very liberating, very secularizing. Next article, India and Oman have signed a trade pact to create a CEPA, SEPA. We have often spoken about TEPA between India and European countries. Today we are looking at SEPA. What is SEPA? Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. What is going to happen? All the products from India that go to Oman will become duty-free. 98.08% free of tariff. Similarly, the products that come from Oman to India, in India, will also become duty-free to a great extent. Yes, 94.8% of them duty-free in India. That's the trade deal they have signed. Now, please remember, India already exported $4.06 billion worth of goods to Oman in 24-25. And it was 0.93% of India's total exports to any country. So today this new act means further the relationship will become more cemented as we proceed. Quickly look at the location of Oman on the map. Everyone, quickly. India-Oman Free Trade Agreement, CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Duty-free goods into each other's territory. Look at the map, please. This is Oman. This is Oman. Please focus on the map. Left, Yemen. Severe civil war. Just on top of it, the large country of the Gulf, Saudi Arabia. Just next to Saudi Arabia, UAE, United Arab Emirates. You can see the Gulf of Oman. Yesterday, Vikash was talking about Gulf of Oman. Yes? So this is Oman for you. India-Oman Free Trade Agreement. Okay? Understood, everyone? Right. Next, America announces $10 billion support to weapons and arms to Taiwan. We have discussed Taiwan so many times in the past. So many times in the past. I also told you that there was an island that was in the news. Terukula, do you remember? Ramu, do you remember? Can you please confirm to the class? The Yonaguni Island. Yonaguni Island. I remember Reshma, Vikash, Diptesh and aspirant have spoken a lot about Yonaguni Island. Today, none of them are here. What about Ramu? Ramu, you were there in class, bacha. And so was Terukula. Who remembers Yonaguni Island? Just about 100 kilometers from Taiwan. It was a disputed territory. Yes, between Japan and China. Japan had put a missile there. China got angry. It's a disputed area near Taiwan. Agreed? I have in detail spoken about the conflict over Taiwan between China, Japan, and Taiwan itself. Japan says, I have no claim on Taiwan. Taiwan is not my territory. I have surrendered Taiwan long back in 1944 after Second World War. But it's not clear who got Taiwan. Whether the main Communist Party in China got Taiwan, the mainland China, or whether a small group of Chinese leaders in Taiwan got sovereignty over Taiwan. China today believes in the China Plus policy. That means China says Taiwan is a part of China, but Taiwanese don't agree to that. Very good, Sitaram and Terukula. You all remember. Brilliant. Correct, Priyanshu. Beautiful. Now, what's the controversy? America is telling Taiwan that please keep fighting against China and maintain your independence. For that, I will today support you with $10 billion of weapons. America has also told Taiwan that expand your defense expenditure up to 5% of your GDP, just like all NATO countries have done. Quickly look at the situation of Taiwan. Look at Taiwan. It is a key area in South China Sea. Look at China. It's very near the Japanese islands on the east. Here is Philippines. Philippines is also in the news right now. Why is it in the news? The attack that has happened on Jews in Australia. Yes, the attack that has happened on Jews in Australia, the anti-Semitism attack, was executed and planned in an island near Philippines. So Philippines is also coming in the picture in the Australia racial attack on Jews. The Bonny Island controversy. Senkaku Island has always been in the news. Very good, Terukula. Again, a key fighting point between China and Japan. China calls it the Diaoyu Island. Japan calls it Senkaku Island. Correct? The Bondi Feast. Very good. The Bondi Fest. Correct. Philippines is also coming in the picture. Now that you have understood the location, what is the news? Yes, America is giving high-end technology, medium-range missile, howitzer, drone, various kind of 82 HIMARS systems, 420 ATACM system. All these are being given to Taiwan from America so that Taiwan stands for its sovereignty. Very good, Prasad. Anti-Semitism. It means hatred against the Jew. It was a common philosophy of the Nazi government. The Holocaust is associated with that. It is a predominant phenomena that also happens in Iran, that happens in Palestine, Gaza. Why? Because they believe it is the Jews in Israel who are predominantly Jews. The Israeli people have tried to conquer the territory of ex-Palestinian country. So hatred against Jew community is called anti-Semitism. I hope it's clear. Yes. Clear? Okay. Now the last thing in the passing. Finance Minister of India, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, has launched a new bill, Securities Market Code Bill. We can discuss it later in detail. Just remember, it tries to combine three existing bills. Security Contract Regulation Act 1956, SEBI Act 1992, Depositories Bill 1996. What's the goal? The total number of members in SEBI will be increased from 9 to 15. Small procedural violations will now be civil liabilities. They will not be criminalized or punished too much. And we are creating an easier and unified regulatory system. So this is the new law. Security Market Code Bill, replacing the existing three laws. That's it for the day. That's it for the day. We'll understand the controversy later on. Opposition people are saying the bill is giving too much power to SEBI, and that's not correct. We can discuss and understand exactly what's so controversial about it. So now I'll take your leave. A quick reminder, do join the SAIL program that's running for UPSC 2026 because it's an integrated successful prelims mission. Thank you so much. Sorry for today's delay. I apologize to all my aspirants, to those also who initially could not join and then they were not a part of the lecture. Please see that later. Be in touch with the news. I'll meet you tomorrow 9:30 a.m. sharp and elaborate on tomorrow's news events. And now, yesterday I have made a video on the Narpu Wildlife Sanctuary in Arunachal Pradesh, in Meghalaya, and I asked a question, which is the largest lake in Meghalaya? Which is the largest lake in Meghalaya? I asked that question yesterday. I also spoke about Bihar, leader in makhana production, Darbhanga, Mithila makhana, GI tag 2021. So, which is the largest lake in Meghalaya? It is the Unimam Lake. What lake is that? Is it a freshwater lake? Yes, I am there. I am there, Alok. If you join, I'll take care of your CSAT and current affairs. I will be there. Don't worry. Okay, so think about it. The Narpu Wildlife Sanctuary, Meghalaya, yes, the largest lake, and Bihar Makhana. India is the largest makhana producing country in the world. 80% of makhana comes from India. Barapani, it's a man made lake. Okay, so very good, Rahul. Thank you for clarifying. The largest lake in Meghalaya is then Barapani Lake, not Umimam Lake, as many students were answering. I hope you got your answer for everyone who is viewing. Now, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless each one of you. Bye, AB. Bye, Alok. Bye, Terukula, Rahul, @alone, Priyanshu, Alok, Satya, Eric, Sitaram, Ramu, Arang, Prasad, Terukula, Priyanshu, Saraswati. Who else was with me? Arya was with me. Rajnishwar was here with us despite the delay. Pranarithi, and so many people joined in. That's so sweet of them. Suraj was there. Okay. Rakesh was there. Prathinkar was there. Terukula I have mentioned. Anyone I'm missing upon? Yalia, Urapam, @user VG was there. Vikash was here initially. Okay, then. God bless you. I had asked 3 questions, Terukula, yesterday. So 2 we have discussed. Let's discuss 1 tomorrow. Okay. Barapani, thank you so much. Peter. Peter was there with us. Thank you, Peter. Okay, Rajnishwar. I'll